Good evening, everyone. We are, we lost one. Okay, does she need to be here for the budget? Okay, so we're going to get started with a quick budget hearing preceding our regularly scheduled council meeting. So I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Nichols, our finance director.
Thank you, Madam President. On last evening, there was a Zoom presentation of the 2025 proposed budget. This evening, for the record, I would like to read the proposed 2025 budget and entertain any questions. I know that we went through thoroughly questions on last evening, and there were questions that were emailed that were answered as well. So for the 2025 fiscal year for the Borough of Yeadon, the proposed budget is $9,786,803. That is encompassed of revenues for all taxes, including real estate and Act 511 of $7,887,238. License and permits, $421,900. Franchise revenues, $167,500. Fines and forfeitures, $179,550. Interest, rents, and royalties, $81,354. Intergovernmental revenues, $596,850. Charges for services, $51,147. Contributions, donations, miscellaneous revenues, $36,000. Other revenues, $365,264, for a total of $9,786,803. The budget is balanced as it pertains to our expenditures. The legislative body, $96,140. Administration, $694,801. Financial administration, $261,213. Tax collection, $35,227. Legal services and engineering services, $206,500. Insurance and bonding, borough facilities, $1,055,247. Police, $4,692,789. Fire, $171,950. Code enforcement, $528,292. Emergency management, $2,500. Highway maintenance general services, $1,104,471. Recreation, youth development, parks, and special events, $92,168. Library, $527,980. Debt service, $260,274,000. I'm sorry, $260,274. Planning, zoning, urban development, and miscellaneous expenses, $32,250. Total departmental expenditures, $9,761,803. And a total general fund operating transfer of $25,000 for a total of $9,786,803, which balances a 2025 budget. Our trash fund will have a budget of $1,228,025 with no increase. Our sewer fund will have a budget of $2,915,137 with a 25 cents per 1,000-gallon increase. Motor license fund will have a budget of $308,186. Vehicle replacement, $133,038, and our capital fund of $130,000. There's also a proposed increase of 1 mil for the millage for 2025 to be 9.83 mil versus the 1.6 mils originally proposed in the preliminary budget. That's all I have, Madam President.
All
Are
right.
there any questions from members of the council? All right.
Is it just members of council?
I think the public has the opportunity during the hearing to ask questions as well.
Are there any questions from the public regarding the budget?
Oh, yes. What was that number again, where you said 9.83 mil?
Yes, the millage for 2025 is proposed to be 9.832 mils.
Supposed to the original estimate of,
The original estimate was, I didn't have that right. I had to do some quick math. It would have been 0.65 additional mils.
0.65.
The original number for 2024 was 8.832.
2. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Do you know how much is in the budget with regards to increases on the infrastructure? And how much of that is covering through taxes, how much we're planning with regards to grants?
For the infrastructure, there was, let me get right to the details. $233,810 for infrastructure. That's from the general fund, but there are other grant opportunities that will be covering other infrastructure issues.
So how much are you thinking with regards to the full budget for infrastructure?
I'm looking at Joe from Pinoni. Joe, we have at least $2 million in grants actively now, including our matches.
I have that spreadsheet here. Oh. Yeah, it's actually north of 2 million. So, 123, 1.6, 1.9.
Yeah, when you add in my general fund number, it's over $2 million.
Yeah, well over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any additional?
Congratulations to everyone on the council. I haven't been here in a while, and I heard you speaking about taxes and balancing the budget, but I was just wondering, because I haven't heard anything about it, about the $47 million extra that the school board collected that the auditor found. I was wondering, was that going to be returned back to the taxpayers?
So this body is not responsible for anything related to the school board. They have their own governing body.
Because Ms. Robidoux, she was arguing about that increase when y'all were trying to increase it last time before y'all were changed over. And it was increased for everybody. Everybody was wondering how. And she was arguing about it, reading the budget, and the lady over here was arguing about it too. But we wasn't getting anything, we didn't hear anything about it. But then 6 months later, the auditor audit school board found out the tax that we were paying, they was whirled away 47 million of it. So you saying that y'all don't have anything to do with it, but you increased it right in front of me, right here, and we were debating about it. This sister right here, the sister over here, the other sister was asking why was y'all trying to increase it. The school board personnel was saying that they didn't need an increase on anything dealing with the school board.
The extra funds. That's the extra funds. For the school district? Oh, the ARPA funds. ARPA funds. Okay, that's separate. That's not taxes. That was a government entitlement that came from COVID relief from the federal government.
Right, but the school board has their own, they have their own budget,
They're
they
their
have their
taxing
own,
authority.
they're their own taxing authority. We are only discussing borough taxes here. There's a county tax, there's a school tax, and there's a borough tax. And we don't have anything to do with the county tax, we don't have anything to do with the school tax.
Okay, if that's what you're saying now, I know that's not true, but anyway, go ahead, I accept it, let it go. But as far as the taxes, the reason that I found out about this, because I did investigation, because I was due a refund. And the refund came through here, and the Esquire downstairs explained the same thing to me, that it did initiate here. And the fact that we talking about taxes, the first to handle the taxes, for some reason, we having a problem with people who domicile here are the taxes for the mud taxes are not getting sent to our
I'm sorry, the what taxes?
mud, they call them mud taxes.
Mud tax?
That's for the police in the trash. Trash companies.
No.
Also, y'all don't know, so why am I getting letters from the court where my mortgage company was being sent these bills, and then I get a lien on my property because these taxes were paid initially at this level, but then it wasn't sent to it in the second year or the fourth year. But the first year and the third year, yes. But then I get a lien on my property for taxes that I didn't have prior to me living here.
So this is a budget hearing about the upcoming.
Taxes are being sent in the
Okay.
legal department, the law.
So listen, we don't have any information about what you're, so I'm gonna ask for you to, sir,
Said that
I'm gonna ask for you to send this information. If there's some information that you have that we need to review, that if you could send it to our borough manager, and that would be a more appropriate forum because we don't know what a mud tax is. We don't know what your mortgage company is. We don't have any details about anything that you're talking about. And in order for us to address it properly, this isn't the proper forum to do so. So that's Mr. Cave's information. And if you want to reach out to him for some additional clarification, then that's fine. But we don't have any idea what you're talking about.
I would
Okay.
fill you with that. I would fill you with.
Okay, all right, thank you. So are there any other questions regarding the budget so we can close out the hearing and begin our legislative session? All right. So at this time, I will call to order the Borough Council Legislative Meeting for November 21st, 2024. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Secretary, can you please proceed with roll call, beginning with our esteemed mayor?
Honorable Mayor Hepkins,
Present.
President Latoya Monroe,
Present.
Vice President Liana Roqueloud, Councilor Nicole Beatty,
Present.
Councilor Antoinette Trueheart,
Present.
Councilor Michael Trent,
Present.
Councilor Jesse Peets,
Present.
Councilor Loren Johnson, Sean Kilkenny, our solicitor, Nafis Nichols, our finance director, Yolanda Hughes, our tax collector. I do not see her. And Joe Piscusko from Pinoni Engineering. All right, we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you very much. This time we will move on to our citizens forum. I will start with Maluma Tunica L.
Like I said, congratulations to everybody and the new appointees here. And I'm sorry I haven't been here for a while because there was an incident right across the street where I was run over by a truck. And that's what I want to speak on now. At first, when I was coming here, a lot of you people here remember me saying that I was looking for my missing children. And I was waiting for Detective Ingram to get back with me, but he retired. And then you placed somebody new here. You didn't have a police captain. Y'all, COVID, y'all replaced, got rid of him. He wasn't here. And he had training. I was speaking to him about it for my children. He couldn't do anything that his officers didn't initiate. But I always thought initial SOP was when you try to start an investigation, you have to give a report or make a statement to an officer. Am I correct? You have to make a statement, write a written statement, affidavit, right? Thanks. Am I correct?
Sir, this is an opportunity for public
No,
comment.
no, this is public comment.
So
because
if
you
you
cannot
want an
finish.
answer, if you want an answer from a staff member, you can direct it to the president, and she can ask the staff member, but now you should direct your comments towards council.
Okay, I apologize for that. The head of the police department is sitting right there. Anyway, I never made a statement. So each time I came up here and I spoke about it and came to the meetings, I went downstairs to try to speak to a detective. I left my number and name over 14 times with the new detective, and she didn't see me. I went down there a month ago and tried to see her again. They said the police captain was on vacation. An officer interceded. And so he said, detective didn't want to see me. So I'm wondering why he running interference. But I wouldn't have said anything if I didn't try to file incident reports. And there was first 2 times I let it go. But when it got to the fifth time, there was a fifth incident report that was miswritten. When I told him one thing different, I had to speak about it, because it's not his fault. It's the officers under him. And so this detective wouldn't see me because she said I was under a doctor's care. And she made another statement. And then CID and media said this detective told him they didn't want to see me because I was under a doctor's care. Of course, I got hit by a truck. And if they talking about initially when my children disappeared, I was going to the doctor to find out why I had internal bleeding and getting headaches. That's what it was for. I was being poisoned for life and veterans' life insurance and compensation money. I tried to explain that to all y'all. When y'all pull my name and property up, y'all see some person out of Florida, inmates out of Florida's name come up for my property. This is how it all went, when my children disappeared. And when I came here, some of you here remember, I used to talk directly at Miss Waters. And I wonder why she's not here, because her husband used to have an office right up the street. When my daughter disappeared, we went right to her office. That's why I kept looking at her to see if she would recognize my face.
Okay.
And so I never got help here. And so I'm wondering how this, and it seemed to be one particular officer that keeps with the incident reports. And since this detective don't want to see me as a father who was raising his children, as a single veteran, a father, and then they disappeared, I don't believe that I shouldn't have the right not to find or have an investigation done where my children being found, especially when I had to take them off of adult social media being sexually trafficked minor children.
Sir, we, the bell, that indicated your 3 minutes was up. And in all fairness, we need to make sure that we keep order for this meeting. It sounds like your issue is a little more complex than can be resolved here in these 3 minutes. So you do have the card for our borough manager. You can have a card for our police chief, so you can contact them directly too. But again, we have to maintain order and decorum in these meetings, so that bell indicated your 3 minutes. Okay? Thank you. All right, Mr. Francis, Ron Francis.
No, this is not part of the hearing. You don't need to take after this, only when we get to the smoke shop portion. Then after the smoke shop portion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor, councilors, borough manager, finance director, solicitor, and residents, good evening.
Good evening.
To God be the glory. We've experienced several years, some unsteadiness, turmoil, and dysfunction. Since then, we've elected these individuals here, okay? Some have been elected, some have been appointed. Let's start working with them. We asked them to do a service for us, okay? They're up there because they're doing service out of their heart. They're not getting paid a lot of money. They're getting a stipend. This is a love of community, so let's respect them and continue working with them, okay? Don't get it twisted. Again, they're not getting paid for this. One thing I've learned when we were on council, Claire and me worked with the majority of some of those on council, was the word synergy. Let's all say synergy, okay? That means working together for a common goal. Harmony and unity. Let's get on the trail and on the train for progress to work with them, okay? We can't ask to do any more than support. As far as our chief, he came in a turbulent time and it is a dysfunctional time with division. Knowing this, him and his family came knowing the circumstances, but he believes he could make a difference. Our previous chief, Chachi, was great. We all loved him. He was a great person. Let's give this chief a chance. Everybody has their own style of leadership and training. The key things that we should look for as residents are results, protection for our community, listening to the community, working with the mayor and council to keep us safe, training, technology, and keeping up with technology to keep us safe, and grants. That's all I have to say right now. Thank you for your time. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have Casey Drayton.
Good evening, Honorable Council, Honorable Mayor, everyone. Many blessings. Just want to ask one question: how can I help the borough with their taxes? I did have the opportunity to participate last night. Unfortunately, my question wasn't answered, so I was here seeking more advice, recommendations, etc., to see what I can do as a new resident of the borough to hopefully make a difference. Often people ask, what can you do for me? I believe Robert F. Kennedy said, ask not what you can do for your country, but ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your borough? So I'm asking that question. I'm asking about taxes. I'm inquiring to learn, because as a senior citizen next year, I want to make sure that I'm doing my fair share. So please bear with me if I'm learning, because that's the goal, is to learn what's going on, why is it going on, learning to love the neighborhood, love my neighbors. But I have some concerns that make me think, what will happen once I retire in the future years with regards to the taxes. That's why I'm asking about the increases, because again, my mortgage company hit me with a number I was not expecting with regards to the increase, and unfortunately the highest increase was with the borough. So I want to understand why that's the case. I understand happened in the past that was beyond my control, of course, and a lot of the residents, but what can we do going forward? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do want to just, a bit of clarification. The borough is not the largest taxing entity in this municipality. The school district is actually the bulk of your, So your mortgage company wouldn't just have our portion. Your tax is the whole tax.
No, I understand. I've spoken to the borough, I've spoken to the county, I've spoken to the school district, and I also spoke to my homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
And the borough was the largest increase. According to the numbers I received.
Okay, so is that because the school district is,
A couple of things. It could have been the timing of, you said you just moved here
2 years ago.
2 years ago. It could have been a reassessment. It could have been a number
Right.
of things.
No, there was no reassessment.
so the school district also has a different fiscal year than the borough. So they're June 30th. So if that may be true at the moment, but Mr. Nichols can research it for you.
Numbers they gave me.
Right.
And what I got from.
Right. So just traditionally, I've lived in this borough almost 20 years, and the school district is the healthiest portion of the taxes in the community. It's always been that way.
Well, it may not be
Yeah.
if you have the homestead exclusion.
Our school district makes up about 80% of our taxes. So it's always been that way here in the borough, and we've heard the song of seniors saying they have no children in the school district, and
I didn't want to go there.
I know, but I mean, I'm just letting you know that's what's here to expect in Yeadon. We know. I have Annette Marie Giantonio for the 2025 budget. This last name is much easier than the one you provided, so thank you for that.
Don't know what you're talking about, but whatever. Good evening, everyone. There are a number of issues that I'm hoping we can be able to address tonight. If we can't get answers tonight, maybe before the end of the year. The legislative meeting, the video from last week, that still hasn't been posted. Not sure why. I know that it was handed to the webmaster, so some people are trying to find out what went on at the last meeting. The other is that we know that the borough website was hacked. I think it went down like 3 different times. If we could find out what caused that, what controls do we have in place to prevent that from reoccurring, that would be good. And then with regards to the 2025 preliminary budget, I know that the budget that we're currently looking at now is a less increase than what we were originally looking at, but asking if we can still take another look with regards to the expenses, and if we can keep some of the expenses at where they were for this year. Example, the legal expense. I know that with regards to what I saw for the preliminary, we're looking at an increase with regards to legal. If we could keep that capped at what we incurred for this year. I also know that we're having a second solicitor at every legislative meeting. I don't know if that's costing us money or not. Is it really required? The borough is cash strapped. We do have a lot of older residents that are on a fixed income. They can't, even if we're saying, other people are saying it's a small increase, people on fixed incomes can't afford another increase. The school district is looking at an increase too. So if we could definitely take another look with regards to anywhere else that we could cut, even donations, if we're giving a donation, if we're increasing the donation next year, maybe we shouldn't because the borough can't really afford it at this point in time. Definitely give a mandate with regards to your engineering firm. I know that they're above, we said that they were going to only be at 100,000 this year. They're currently above that. I know we're getting grants, but maybe we can take another look with regards to next year and say that they need to have a mandate. You need to cap the expenses at $100,000. You need to get so many grants and possibly put that in the negotiations with regards to them. Also, just take a look with regards to any contract that we are looking at. Make sure that we have terms that are really beneficial for the borough, as opposed to more beneficial to the other party with regards to that. If you could do anything with regards to that. I do know that you have taken a look with regards to the budget and you've reduced it from what we originally saw. So thank you for that. And the last thing that I would just ask is some transparency. I know that there had been an incident where somebody had said that an officer was allegedly accused of saying that they could do something that wasn't right. And I think that it's been investigated, but if residents ask for that, the incident report, if we could just make sure that the residents would be able to see that, just for transparency's sake, because it makes it, if you say that they can't see it, it leaves open questions with regards to, is something inappropriate? And I'm not saying that the police officers did anything wrong, just make sure that we're more transparent. Thank you so much.
Did anyone report that an incident report was not available?
Internal affair records are not, they're not releasable to the public. They're in terms of legal ramifications. Internal affair reports do not get released to the public.
Okay.
And if I could just add, I was out of town for a month, and I'm taking a look at it, and you'll hear from me.
Okay. Thank you so
I'm
much.
following up.
Yeah, it's more just like, we want to make sure that everybody's
That was your
transparent.
Thank you. All right, next, we're moving on to number 4.
Yes, Madam President, we have a motion to open a public hearing.
All right. Is there a motion?
Madam President, may I put a motion on the floor for the public hearing for smoke shop ordinance and potential adoption of ordinance?
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question? Hearing none, let's proceed with that roll call vote.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roadcloud, Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Pete,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
All right, that vote is unanimous. The hearing is now open.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I'm going to mark some exhibits for the record. Exhibit meaning Borough 1 will be a copy of Delaware County Planning Commission's recommendation Planning Department's recommendation for moving forward with the smoke shop ordinance, as well as our own Planning Commission's recommendation on moving forward with the smoke shop ordinance. Next will be a copy of the sorry about that. B2 will be a copy of the advertisements of the smoke shop ordinance, which was in our newspaper of general circulation, the Delaware County Daily Times, on 9/24/24. Then 2 will be a copy of this. B3 will be a copy of the smoke shop ordinance itself. So I'm going to go ahead and read a brief summary of what this ordinance is about. And the reason why we're having a hearing is this is going to be a zoning change, so a zoning ordinance. So rather than just stand alone, there was a requirement that it be sent to our own planning commission, the county planning commission for review, and that a public hearing be held for potential adoption, which is contained in the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. And there has to be a transcribed record of that. That's why we have the privilege of having a court reporter here. And I know it's earlier on the agenda, so that person can leave unless they want to stay around for this business. I'm sure they don't. But I am going to go ahead and read basically the sum and substance of this ordinance. I know smoke shops have been prevalent throughout Yeadon Borough and other municipalities in eastern Delaware County. And while the borough has to recognize that they're legal, they can place reasonable restrictions on those smoke shops being near each other and being near certain uses. Yeadon wants to go ahead and amend its zoning ordinance to the following. There's a whole series of definitions, but zoning use and standards. All smoke shops, tobacco stores, and mixed-use establishments proposing to operate within the industrial and regional commercial districts after the effective date of this section must obtain conditional use approval, meaning they must come back before council. Standard conditions of approval at the minimum should be, 1, that no smoking shall be permitted at presence at the time. No sales shall be solicited or conducted on the premises by minors. No self-service tattoo, tobacco product, or tobacco paraphernalia display shall be permitted. And finally, D, no distribution of free or low-cost tobacco, tobacco products, tobacco paraphernalia, as well as coupons for said items shall be permitted. Additionally, smoke shops, tobacco stores, and mixed-use establishments shall not be located within 1,000 feet measured from property line from a school, private or public, family daycare, a child care facility, a youth center, community center, recreational facility, park, church, or religious institution, hospital, or similar use where children gather regularly. Smoke shops and tobacco stores and mixed-use establishments shall not be located within 1,000 feet measured from property line from another smoke shop and or tobacco use or mixed-use establishment. And it's unlawful for a smoke shop and or tobacco store to knowingly allow or permit a minor not accompanied by his or her parent or legal guardian to enter or remain within the smoke shop or tobacco use. And then finally, D, smoke shops and tobacco stores shall post clear signage saying that minors may not enter the premises unless accompanied by a parent or guardian. So after council may have any comments they may want to have on this during this public hearing, but then there should be an opportunity afforded that the public has any comment after that.
Right. So are there any members of council that have questions? No. Any members of the audience that would have questions?
Statement?
Statements?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate the.
You should have to identify yourself for the record.
My name is Takim Jabbar.
Mr. Bart, because we're all on the record.
Yes.
Spelling your last name, please.
H-A-K-I-M-A-H. Last name is Jabbar, Jabbar. I wanted to thank the council for taking this initiative to be proactive in this. This was something I was concerned about a couple years back, and then recently, earlier this year, when Shapiro had mentioned this in one of his talks on cannabis policy. So I really appreciate that the borough has taken initiative on this and being proactive. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Is there anyone else from the audience that may have any questions, comments?
So, Madam President, if there's not, I would suggest that council close the public hearing and then, if they so choose, take action to approve ordinance number 2024.
Is that on our agenda later?
It's actually it's right here, actually. It says, public hearings for smoke shop and potential adoption of ordinance.
Okay, what's the ordinance number?
It is 2024-10.
All right.
So,
04.
2024-04.
04, I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. So, hearing no more questions, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, and whoever wants to make a motion about the ordinance.
Okay.
There's no requirement.
Okay. So, our next order of business is the consideration of ordinance number 2024-04 regarding the smoke shop. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Pete,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up, we have consideration to approve the October 10th, 2024 caucus meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roadcloud,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Pete,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up next for consideration is the approval of our October 17th, 2024 legislative meeting minutes.
So moved.
Seconded.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roadcloud,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Pete,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up on our agenda is our mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. My report stands as submitted at last week's caucus meeting. I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, under our president's report, we have consideration for approving the employment agreement between Chief Henry Gianmarco and the Borough of Yeadon, effective February 1, 2025, for a term not to exceed 3 years. Said agreement is subject to the final review of the solicitor.
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
I make a motion to approve the employment agreement between Henry Gianmarco and the Borough of Yeadon effective February 1st, 2025 for a term not to exceed 3 years. Said agreement is subject to the final review of the solicitor.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, given this is a personnel matter, we will not be taking any comments. I will proceed with our roll call vote.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roadcloud,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Pete,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up next, we have our manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. I do want to address the website issue. Our domain hosting vendor, they were compromised. No Yeadon Borough data or resident data was compromised. It was the website portion of our vendor. I know they work collaboratively with our IT vendor to find a solution. They were able to, after about a day and a half coming up and back down, they were able to identify and create a fix there. It looks like ever since it's been working out pretty good. I think, we all apologize if there's any inconvenience or inability to access any data or information during that time. All right. With that said, Madam President, I'd like a motion to consider the hiring of Mary Kearney for the position of part-time police officer contingent upon successfully completing the final stages of testing and background investigation.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
I would like to make a motion to hire Mary Kearney for the position of part-time police officer contingent upon successfully completing the final stages of testing and background investigations.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, given this is a personnel matter, we shall not have any questions. We'll move to our roll call vote.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roadcloud,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Pete,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Madam President, I'd like a motion, please, to consider to appoint Mr. Vincent Zappacosta to the role of Fire Marshal effective January 1st, 2025 for a term of 1 year.
Madam President,
Councilor Trueheart?
I'd like to make a motion to consideration to appoint Vincent Zappacosta to the role of Fire Marshal effective January 1, 2025 for a term of 1 year.
Seconded.
Having been moved and properly seconded, given this is a personnel matter, we shall not have any discussion. We'll move to our roll call vote.
President Monroe?
Wait a minute. before you do that. I need to answer your question. Okay. Roll call vote? Yeah.
President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Roquel?
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart?
Yes.
Counselor Beatty?
Yes.
Counselor Trent?
Yes.
Counselor Peets?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. The question was simply in regards to whether we needed to state the amount of compensation. This is a professional services, so this isn't something that's required. But that was the question that Counselor Roquel asked and didn't know if it was sensitive. So I don't believe it was a sensitive question, but it's not something that we needed to add. Although he will be operating on a retainer, and those information, that payment information will be available to the public via right to know.
And it would be on the AP list.
And on the AP list. And it's in the budget. You want to, it's $1,000 a month, retainer. That not out here, but that's what it is. All right.
Well, full transparency.
There you go. But it's not, it didn't have to be a part of the motion. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Madam President, I'd like a motion to consider to appoint Ms. Clara Johnson to the role of alternate of the Civil Service Commission.
Madam President, make a motion to appoint Clara Johnson to the role of alternate of the Civil Service Commission.
Second.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you very much. Just wanting to make sure with that full transparency that, that Mr. Trent was, had the ability to serve and appoint on the Civil Service Commission, and there is no conflict there. So having been moved and properly seconded, we will move to our roll call vote.
President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Roquel?
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart?
Yes.
Counselor Beatty?
I'm sorry, yes.
Counselor Trent?
Yes.
Counselor Peets?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
I just have the stipulation that Clarice never show up to the meeting. Only Clara. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam President, I'm going to punt date to next month, the advertisement of the lead inspection ordinance. We've gotten a lot of feedback over the last couple of days, and I just didn't want to rush into it, so we're going to consider that for advertisement next month, if that's okay.
So do you need the table?
Yeah, motion to table.
All right, so we entertain a motion to table the consideration to advertise a lead inspection ordinance pending some additional modifications. So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, can we take the vote to table? On you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I dozed off. President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Roquel?
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart?
Yes.
Counselor Beatty?
Yes.
Counselor Trent?
Yes.
Counselor Peets?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson? Thank you.
All right, you got the next one?
Yep. Madam President, I'd like a motion to consider the adoption of ordinance number 2024-008, amending 285-29, sale of vehicles on streets or public parking lots.
Is there a motion?
Madam President,
Madam Vice President?
I would like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance number 2024-008, amending 285-29, sale of vehicles on streets or public parking lots.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, can we just give a brief overview of what those changes are in this adoption?
Yes.
Oh, we have your folder. I thought that was what you were looking for.
Yeah, currently the ordinance reads, and we're just kind of modifying the language. Currently, the ordinance reads that no person shall list for sale any car, any vehicle on any public street or public parking lot in the borough. We are modifying the ordinance to say no person shall sell or rent any vehicle upon any street or public parking lot in the borough. We're keeping the penalties for violations the exact same. We've noticed and gotten a lot of reports from residents of people listing a bunch of rental cars on a lot of our streets, and it's becoming a nuisance. The activity is not favorable to the borough, and it's something that, through a lot of resident feedback, we'd like to change.
All right. Any other questions after the explanation? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Roclout?
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart?
Yes.
Councilor Beatty?
Yes.
Councilor Trent?
Yes.
Councilor Peets?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson? Thank you.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
And Madam President, I'd like a motion to consider the termination of employee 10270 effective October 29, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
I would like to make a motion for the termination of employee number 10270 effective October 29th, 2024.
Second. Having been moved and properly seconded, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Roclout?
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart?
Yes.
Councilor Beatty?
Yes.
Councilor Trent?
Yes.
Councilor Peets?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
And lastly, just a reminder, tomorrow is our blood drive. We're very excited. We have quite a few people donating tomorrow. We can still use, there's still a few more open spots if you would like to. We're very excited for a positive turnout tomorrow. Thank you.
Right. Quick question. Are they taking any walk-ins?
They will.
Okay.
Yep. Bring that blood.
Respectfully. Next up, next up, we have our tax collectors report.
Borough real estate taxes collected for the month of October, $149,209,027. Trash for the month of October, $42,834. Sewer for the month of October, $55,453.83 for a total of $247,497.13 collection.
All right, thank you. We have our solicitors report.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam President. You saw that our office had worked over several months on the smoke shop ordinance that we had here this evening. Glad that we finally moved forward to implement it. We've been working with the borough manager on a matter that's been tabled this evening, but working with him on the draft of the lead inspection ordinance, as well as we know at the last meeting we were authorized to file a complaint in equity for 10007 Bullock Avenue, and that's been filed in the Delaware County Court of Common Pleas. As things go forward, we'll keep you apprised. And that will conclude my report, unless if council had any questions this evening. Oh, yes, that's right. We had an executive session this evening to discuss personnel and litigation.
Thank you. Next up, we have our engineers report.
Thank you, Madam President. One point of clarity from that question in the budget hearing, the amount of grants that you have on hand currently is $3,949,597. So said it was quite a bit north of $2 million, so it's almost $4 million at this point.
That's definitely north.
Yes. So the first is to authorize our office to conduct these traffic studies to bring several of these intersections into compliance. So I don't know if you want me to read them or not for the record, or.
I think we can read them once and we won't have to read them again.
Okay. So it's the locations are Myra at Laurel, Myra at Holly, Bailey at Union, Bailey at Industrial, Bailey at Fern, Arbor at Whitby, Longacre at Rockland, Longacre at Parkview, West Cobb's at Whitby, West Cobb's at Parmley, and West Cobb's at Cypress.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. As my question would be, I've heard several times before that these traffic studies are rather costly. Is there an amount associated with these?
Well, costly is a relative term, right? I can certainly get you something in advance of doing them. I don't think they're really that bad, especially since we're doing a bunch of them. But let me get something to the manager, so I can give you, at least an idea of what the cost would be.
Okay. And then, how were these specific intersections chosen?
They were the intersections that were, maybe the chief could give us a little.
Yeah, oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, I think they've all, at some point over the years, have come up in conversation, not suggesting all of these get stop signs or anything like that, but we're analyzing the patterns in these intersections. And in a lot of these meetings, one common complaint is just speed and walkability of the borough. So this is just the borough's trying to be a little extra proactive and trying to make sure that we're taking the proper safety measures for our fellow drivers, residents, and business owners, and especially the kids and the seniors.
Right. So they may not all qualify, and just taking a look at them.
Right, and I guess that would have been my third question. Are these the only traffic calming measures that we're considering in these areas?
Well, they were the only ones brought up by the manager and the chief to look at. But we, I had sent. We had circulated before a traffic calming ordinance because in a lot of the municipalities that we represent, there's a traffic calming ordinance in place, and you can look at other measures if you so desire.
And this isn't for stop signs. This is for the studies.
Right.
So this isn't for do we put stop signs there? This is assessing the intersections and doing a study so we could get proper data to see what measures make sense in these intersections.
Madam Chair.
Madam Vice President.
I was under the impression that, especially on the West Cobbs Creek area, we were going to have some sort of traffic measure that involves like a median with grass and all of that.
That's correct. That's correct. And that would be taken into account with these, but you are correct. In fact, that's the next motion that has to do with that project.
So wouldn't a traffic study have to be done anyway?
They're really disconnected. The medians will slow down traffic, and that may negate the need for doing anything at those particular intersections. Right? So it certainly would be taken into effect as part of the study, but you could certainly have both. Both could be warranted. But that is the purpose of the medians is to do traffic calming on West Cobb Street Parkway. So.
But for those medians, do you have to do a traffic study? Because it was already determined that's what we were going to do.
That's correct.
So we have to do the traffic study for those medians anyway, correct?
That was part of the original, that was all approved by PennDOT as part of the grant, that those medians were warranted there. There was not our office did not do a traffic study as part of that, but that was a project we inherited. Okay. And those medians were set to be put there by PennDOT and by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission as part of that project. But you're right that could negate. We certainly would look that there's going to be a median there, and then we would know the effect that would have to make whether or not a stop sign or any other kind of measure, as the manager said, is necessary. The medians themselves might be the measure.
Okay.
So it sounds like the traffic study is not a requirement for the median.
Right. That's what
Correct.
It sounds like.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. As long as we're not
Duplicate.
doing it twice.
Right.
Okay. We need to be able to hear and the audience needs to be able to hear her as well.
Okay. Can we also authorize Panoni Engineering to include Bailey Road at Church?
That's not a part of this motion.
Okay.
Okay. Can we move to our roll call vote?
Yes. President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Peets,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, the second consideration is to approve the resolution. This has to do with, so we're doing the project on West Cobb's Creek. That probably will go to bid. It's in PennDOT's hands at this point for final approval. And one of the things we have to do is to have someone be eligible to execute what they call the Transportation Alternative Set Aside Program documents. And conversation with the manager, since we are sort of knee deep in this project, he thought it'd be best to have our office designated as the signator for those. So that's the second motion.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
motion to approve the resolution authorizing Pannoni Engineering as the eligible officials to execute documents for the Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. So you said this is the motion that, for the medians?
Correct.
All right.
For that project, yes.
For that median project, okay. Can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Peets,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, the item C, so the 2025 year CDBG projects are going to be, the applications are due on January 5th. So we would have to have a public hearing at your next legislative meeting on December 19th. So there's the county has issued new maps. These come from the federal government through criteria from the federal government. And it was that 100% of the borough was eligible in the past. If you can see and I know you can't see this, but I did send this electronically today. Megan sent it. But at this point, only half of the borough is eligible for that meets the federal criteria. And as I was talking to Mike before the meeting, the interesting thing is that of the half that is eligible, half of that is the cemetery. So it's very odd to me that is the case, and we just got these maps Tuesday, so we'll have some follow-up conversation with the because it is income based. That's how these they're based on census tracts, and it's income based. It's just kind of crazy to me that the cemetery would be in that portion and take up over half of the eligible area. That said, we did come up with a proposed project that we'll talk about at but tonight you only need the motion to advertise for the public hearing at your December meeting.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Councilor Trueheart?
I make a motion for the consideration to approve the advertisement of the 2025 CDBG hearing for December 19th, 2024.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart,
Yes.
Counselor Beatty,
Yes.
Counselor Trent,
Yes.
Counselor Peets,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, and then the last is to consider a resolution to submit for another LSA grant for Phase 2 of the community park improvements. These are due on the 30th of this month. LSA is local shares. That is casino money that comes back to the local municipalities, and the borough has been successful in the past. A lot of municipalities have been successful with that money, so it's a good grant. And this would be for what we're calling Phase 2 of the community park improvements. And those improvements would be, it's broken down. You can see the amount of the ask is $476,190. And it's basically for erosion and sedimentation controls, rubber mat playing surface in both of the playground areas, field restoration with natural grass, an additional parking lot, and ADA parking signage and striping. And again, the amount of the resolution asked is $476,190.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
I make a motion to approve a resolution to submit the LSA grant for the Phase 2 of community park improvements.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. The parking, where would the parking be? Is it to redo the existing parking lot, or is there somewhere to add additional parking?
This is new parking. So, Mike, do you know exactly where we're going to put that?
Oh,
People are parking on Providence Road now, we're actually gonna move some space into the park, on Providence Road Park.
okay. All right. Can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe. Vice President Rothschild.
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart.
Yes.
Councilor Beatty.
Yes.
Councilor Trent.
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
Okay, and then one, speaking of the park, in the project that we have underway right now, there was a need for some additional work there. The cost of that work was about $25,000. Megan, I'm going to give Megan all the credit. She was able to convince the state to fund that 100%. So those additional costs of $25,000 will be covered by the grant.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, that's the end of my report, unless there are any questions.
Madam President, question? Could you give us an update on the Church and McDade PennDOT revamping?
Yeah, we're the only thing we're really waiting on at this point is for the equipment to come in, the poles, the mast arms, et cetera. Hopefully that will be in hand by the end of the year. And all the infrastructure for that has already been put in, all the wiring, all the pedestals, all the foundation. So it's just a matter of, but that equipment is very hard to come by. It's always on back order. So we're just waiting for those materials to be, but I would think we should be fully functional there by mid-January.
Including the one-way?
Including the one-way, yes.
That'd be great.
Yes. I mean, that is the reason we're doing it, for the one-way, yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So, Madam Chair, with respect to the Church and McDade project, would it be a good idea to just periodically remind the residents in that area that that street will be changing?
Mm-hmm. Well, we could start, Public Works can start to get out notices.
Just getting them ready.
And we could put it on the web too, right?
Put it on the web, yeah.
There's some signage that we can put in the area. Okay.
We tell them they call.
I'm sorry?
I said we tell them they call.
Mike likes getting signs made. We know that Mike likes getting signs made, so get us a sign made that says this road will become one-way soon. All right, so next, thank you. Next, we move on to our finance report.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I get into the considerations, I will note that we are now fully with Fulton Bank. There were some snags, not on the borough's end, with the transition. So some checks will be presented to this council again for reissuance. You already approved that. But there were some issues in the back office of the bank. There was a letter that Fulton provided to us today to send to our vendors who had an inconvenience, and they will be refunding all of those vendors in the borough any costs that we incurred due to the inconvenience. So I wanted to say that on the record because I know that we here at the borough have been inundated with calls. I don't know if any of you have been as elected officials, but the issue seems to be rectified at this point. And we'll have some further conversation in an executive session as it pertains to banking.
Okay, thank you.
With that, I'm asking for consideration for the approval of the AP list for November of 2024.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
motion to approve the accounts payable list for November 2024.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question? Thank you for that explanation about the repeat checks. If we can proceed with our roll call vote, please.
President Monroe.
Yes.
Vice President Rothschild.
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart.
Yes.
Councilor Beatty.
Yes.
Councilor Trent.
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up for consideration is the October 2024 cash balance report.
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President?
motion to approve the October 2024 cash balance report.
Second. Having been moved and properly seconded on the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe.
Yes.
Vice President Roquel.
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart.
Yes.
Counselor Beatty.
Yes.
Counselor Trent.
Yes.
Counselor Pete.
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up for consideration is the adoption of the final budget for fiscal year 2025.
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President,
motion to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2025. Second.
having been moved and properly seconded on the question, be our 27th opportunity for questions about the budget. Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe.
Yes.
Vice President Roquel.
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart.
Yes.
Counselor Beatty. Counselor Trent.
Yes.
Counselor Pete.
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up for consideration is the approval of the 2025 tax levy, ordinance number 2024-1499.
Madam Chair,
Madam Vice President,
motion to approve the 2025 tax levy ordinance number 2024-1499.
Second.
having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe.
Yes.
Vice President Roquel.
Yes.
Counselor Trueheart.
Yes.
Counselor Beatty. Counselor Trent.
Yes.
Counselor Pete.
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
The motion carries. Mr. Nichols, I stole your thunder. Is there anything
I'll
else for your
just
finance
ask
report?
if you would like for me to coordinate a special budget meeting the week of Christmas.
No, thank you.
Okay?
No, thank you. First time in 4 years that we've adopted a budget prior to the last minute. Next up, we have ordinance and zoning.
Madam President, I ask that the report from the caucus stand.
All right. Next up, we have public works.
Madam President, my report is as stands. Anybody have any questions?
Except that one thing that you fixed right at the very beginning about yard waste.
Yes.
Let them know, because we didn't get that last time.
Yard waste was a misprint from my last meeting. So the yard waste has been suspended until spring. And the e-waste is 11/15, or was 11/15, and it will resume in December.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public safety.
Mr. Mayor, Madam President, and members of council, my reports, plural, stand as read, but I want to just take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to continue to serve the great residents of Yeadon, and it's been an honor the last almost 2 years, and I know we can keep going forward, and having a team behind me, not only with council, but with the public and my team downstairs, we can do great things, and I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm looking forward to working and trying to get some more money, Madam President. I'm working. I got signs. We'll work for accreditation. We'll beg. I'm begging. I tried to beg today, Jack Stolzheimer, and he sees me every time and he puts his hand in his pocket. I'm like, come on, Jack, give up some of that money. So, but thank you. I truly appreciate it. Any questions at all?
Yeah, the fire department has boots.
You know why God made firemen?
Go out, right?
You know why God made cops, so firemen can have heroes. Let's face it. They're probably sleeping. No offense, Mike. They're probably sleeping right now, and come on. Who runs into a perfectly burnt building?
Thank you for that.
Now, Mike, you weren't there. I saved Mike last week in the elevator while the firemen were sleeping downstairs. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I think we're good. Thank you for your
Madam Chair.
Oh, maybe we have a question. Sorry.
My head will be real big, so
That was
the
it.
president's going to yell at me when I
Just
walk
wanna
out.
say thank you for your service.
Thank you. I
That's all,
appreciate it.
and I look forward to continuing to working with you. I don't like to speak for everyone else, but I think in this instance, on behalf of council and myself, we all look forward to working with you and on behalf of the residents as well.
Thank you.
So thank you.
It's an honor. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Can I make one small statement? I think I want to thank council for their support also. And one of the things that, can't undo all the things, but we can move forward. And stability in the police department is premium right now. And this will provide the police department the stability that I believe it needs to be viable and to move forward. So just want to thank council and thank you for your great service, Chief.
Next up, we have recreation. So real quick, I wasn't here last week. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone who had any part in planning and implementing our Veterans Day brunch 2 weeks ago now. It was a huge success. Thank you so much. We had an absolute fabulous time, and it was my pleasure to bring that to the community. So our next event will be, I'm going to call it our holiday soiree. Fancy. Okay. Can I get to that? Yeah, I wasn't going to skip. So preceding the tree lighting ceremony. So the mayor and I are collaborating the tree lighting ceremony on December 6th, 7 p.m. here at the borough. And then we are going to invite anyone from the community who wants to come out. All ages, everybody come out, have a good time for our holiday soiree. You might see an elf there. Not going to say who the elf is going to be, but
And they haven't Santa Claus this year.
I was going to ask you, man. So might be Santa there. We may have Santa there as well. So please come out. We'll have raffles and food. Nice time. So please come out. Everyone is invited. We're not registering anybody. So when the food is gone, it's gone. And I told them to make it very nice up there. So we should have a good time. Looking forward to 2025. We'll probably talk about that in December. I guess I can wait till December. All right. Go ahead. So I have one question about the soiree.
Yes.
Is there a inclement weather date?
Is it supposed to be bad weather next Friday? I don't know.
I don't know. Just ask.
No, there's no.
It's a rain or shine.
Rain or shine.
All right.
Because I don't know if we can get the caterer and
All right.
again. Well, we're going to do. Yes. Let's move that.
Okay.
Indoors.
So in the event of inclement weather, we'll have a shorter event and come on inside with the elves and Santa, not Santa.
Yes. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
I see that.
He's not amused. Mr. Hunter?
Yes, the recreation report stands and submitted, and for the last time, we have Thanksgiving goodies in the kitchen. Please take them. We got a ton of sweet potatoes, which is good for the blood drive after you do that. And then also, we had collard greens the other day. And also we have squash and white potatoes. So there are bags in there. Please take them. This is the end of the vegetable program.
Thank you. That's a lot of vegetables. Yeah. All right. So without further adu, we've had a hearing, a budget presentation, two meetings, and two mayor's reports, and a partridge in a pear tree, and we still out of here in a reasonable amount of time. So without further, and we have a budget, so we won't be here on December 31st. Sorry about the overtime, guys. So without further ado, can we have a motion for adjournment?
Madam
Second.
Seconded.
This meeting's adjourned. Get him out of here.